Peace and blessings. There are so many Black history moments I could speak to you about, to a history so rich you may not ever have an opportunity to experience. The unnamed heroes and sheroes that were talked about to us as youngins. That's what we were called back in those days. That have no monuments or Black history moments talked or shared in the halls of academia. So I will speak to you about a Black memory as well as a Black history of a woman whose name you may recognize. Born in June of 1906, the same year as my grandmother, she died in April of 1975, a year before the birth of my son. So this is a memory of mine, not a Black history, but a Black memory. Josephine Baker was an American-born French entertainer, a French Renaissance agent, and civil rights activist. Her career was centered primarily in Europe, mostly in her adopted land of France. Josephine Baker was a vocal supporter for racial equality. There were many times during her life when she stood up for tolerance and against racism. Baker was born in Missouri in 1906. She left school at age 13, and as a child had witnessed terrifying riots and violence against Black people that resulted in thousands of lynchings, displacement, and all kinds of racial atrocities. She later said that her birth city had a terrible effect on her upbringing, so much so that she left the United States and moved to Paris. She moved there to get away from and escape segregation, but she never forgot her people. Josephine Baker was an American-born French dancer and singer who symbolized the beauty and vitality of Black American culture. And she took Paris by storm. Baker later returned to America to take part in the civil rights movement. She was the only woman speaker at the March on Washington in 1968, where she was honored as a women's civil rights activist. Baker refused to perform for segregated audiences in the United States and is noted for her contribution to the civil rights movement. In fact, in 1968, she was offered unofficial leadership in the civil rights movement of the United States by Coretta Scott King following the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. In November of 2021, just several months ago, Josephine Baker became the first Black woman to enter France's Parthenon mausoleum of the revered historical figures, taking the highest honor. There are only 6 women to ever be given that honor, and she is the African American woman to do that. So we celebrate not just Josephine Baker, but all the heroes and sheroes that continue to give us inspiration and dedication to this commitment to racial equality in these United States of America and across the world. We offer you this prayer. Purify our hearts that we may see thee, O God. In these turbulent days when fear and doubt are mounting high, give us broad visions, penetrating eyes, and a power of endurance. Help us to work with renewed vigor for a warless world, for a better distribution of wealth, and for a brotherhood that transcends race or color. Oh God, we thank you for the fact that you have inspired men and women of all nations and all cultures. We call you different names. Some call you Allah, some call you Krishna, some call you Elohim or Jehovah. Some call you the unmoved mover. But we know that these are all names for one power and one presence that we call God. Grant that we will follow you and become so committed to your way and your kingdom that we will be able to establish in our lives and in this world a brother and sisterhood, that we will be able to establish here a kingdom of understanding where men and women will live together as brothers and sisters and respect the dignity and worth of every human being. In the name and the spirit of Jesus, I deliver this prayer. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so it is.